in Baton Rouge, in Auburn, New York City, Pennsylvania, California, all over those United States of America. Don't forget Alaska. Good morning, everyone. This is The Real Spiel. This is Del K. Brereton, Shiloh Institute Stand Up, coming all the way from all over the world. Me, the voice that most of you don't like to hear, but you still come anyway. Excuse the sun. I'm sitting here in northern Brampton. That's in the GTA of Toronto. Driving in, having my thoughts about you good old folks in America. Yes, before you say it, I am in Canada. Before you say it, I was educated in the United States of America. I've got a degree from there. Before you say it, none of you are citizens of that country. No, you're a chattel, and you are the byproduct of colonization, identifying yourself as Americans. So let's not get it twisted. You don't belong to that soil any more than a mango tree belongs in the Northwest Territories. However, you got to deal with it. And we're going to deal with it today. Should black people be afraid of Donald Trump? I'm going to answer right off the top so I don't keep you in suspense. The answer is no. The answer is no. Because that's not the point. That's not the point. You want me to tell you what the point is? Get out of this doggone sun. I will tell you. The point is that the Western black mind has been bamboozled into a concept of meritocracy. Go look that one up in the Urban Dictionary. We believe in meritocracy. We believe that people should receive what their merits have purchased and worked for. And we have been told old adages like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. We've been lied to and told that education is the way. And hard work will get you what you want. And being good and fair to your fellow man will open the hands of society and give you the golden cup and the golden spoon of posterity, privilege, and advantage. And we have been lied to. And so when we look for those things in these sacred places that should not be sacred, but they are the sacred places of our political landscapes all over North America, when we look for the law of fairness, when we look for the equatable science of what is good for the goose is good for the black gander too, we don't see it. It boggles our doggone mind. The issue is not whether or not black people are afraid of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not the worst thing to descend on black people since they've landed in Plymouth Rock. The issue is that we truly thought that at this time that his deplorableness would disqualify him from your eyes. That's what we thought, because you've given us meritocracy. You've told us, go and be a good Negro, and you're going to get everything you like. You're going to be able to live in the best neighborhoods. You're going to be able to eat high on the hog. You're going to be able to take your children to the best school. Just be a good boy, and everything's going to work out in your favor. And we see the absolute opposite in Donald. Let me go further. It is not that black people all over America felt that Kamala was the greatest of individuals in respect to some of her so-called moral things. A lot of black men had issues with Kamala. However, 78% of black men voted for her. A lot of black women had issues with some aspects of Kamala. However, 92% of black women voted for her. The Latinos split it right down the middle. They could go left or right. They were going left or right. They didn't know. I think it was 45% of Latino men, and I think the women did a little more, maybe 51, if I remember that stat correctly. But the black community was expecting a vote on the behest of meritocracy. Absolutely. Now, what took place was something much more sinister when it came to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was held to a standard that Donald was never held to. Kamala Harris, her ethnicity was in question. They questioned her. Said, oh, we did not know that a visibly black woman was considering herself black. They questioned her relationship with her black father. They didn't just question her relationship, they questioned whether or not her Jamaican father was black. Now, this is not just questioning from the average boneheaded idiot. Even people like Candace Owens, the black voice of white America, was asking stupid questions as to the ethnicity of her father, a clear black man from Jamaica. Then we saw race and identity politics permeate the minds of even black people. Had a conversation with my cousin, and he was saying, oh, she's an Indian, bro. She's an Indian. She's a Dogla. I said, yeah, that's black. We grew up with that in the Caribbean. I've had conversations with many black people who are what I would refer to as black disqualifiers. I don't know where this came from. I do know where it came from. It came from this new narrative given to us by this evil Republican Party, and they truly are evil. To put that, if you even take away Donald and just deal with the so-called vice president, Vance, what a buffoon that guy is. So the re-identification of blackness by black people is a byproduct of the Republicans Party amazing brainwashing narrative on the black population in America. To hear people recite the same stupidity, it's incredible to me that somehow a woman who is clearly black has never identified as black. It's like saying, well, Burton, you've never identified as a man your whole life. I've never heard you say one time. What? Since when do I have to identify the obvious? She identified herself as a South Asian as well as a black person because of the South Asian descent of her mother, which could not be clearly seen on her. And she was making sure we did not think of her as some kind of mixed race between a black person and a white person. She was clear. She was black, South Asian. Still a stupid thing. You just call yourself Indian. I am Indian. I'm of Indian descent and African descent. That's what people should say. This South Asian thing. Asian people must be pissed all over the world because you don't know what to call yourself. What are you if you're Korean? What are you if you're Vietnamese? And geez, like it's so weird. Just they've just broken y'all down into what is a Pakistani person who doesn't consider themselves Indian? I guess they're Asian of some kind, and it's crazy. It's wild. Just call yourself what you are. Simple as that. That's what they said Kamala didn't do. Since when does a visible minority have to say, hey guys, I just like to let you know that I'm actually a black person? Duh. This is the nonsense that I've heard in respect to Kamala. But do black people have to be afraid of the Trumpster? No more than anybody else in America. I think every one of you should be afraid But I know today that white people have woken up all over America and the air smells fresher. The sun is shining like it's shining on me right now. And you just feel a sense of resurgence. You feel that everything's back in the proper balance of how things are. Some of you now, not all of you. Come on now, I wouldn't say that of all of you. Some of you are extremely disheartened because you had this ridiculous idea of meritocracy too. We probably got it from you. You probably got it from you. I do a terrible thing, and I want to admit to it. I do want to admit to it. I want to confess my sins. That when I see in North America now, when I see white people begging, like if I see a homeless white male and he comes up to my car and he asks me for money, I'm just going to tell you my bias. I look at him in my mind and I say, how dare you ask me for money? The amount of privilege, the amount of benefit, the advantage that you have had, and that you are here at my car asking me for money, I'm offended. That's what I say on the inside of me. I say it because he's standing on land that he and his ancestors have taken over. He's had every single advantage. And yes, I know he's just a regular guy like anybody else. He can fall on his luck. I've fallen on my luck. I've never begged, but I've had some rough times. But I look at him differently than I look at a person from another ethnicity doing the same thing. And I'm biased. I'm very biased. I think to myself, bro, the amount of advantages that you've had in this country and you're here at my window, come on, man. Come on. And I think if you extrapolate that all the way to the top, the white people have woken up in America and they've said, finally, we're back in charge. I think they have. I think liberal and conservative alike feel like, well, we tried to give those folks a chance. And we're back in charge. And me personally, I don't have an issue with y'all being in charge of your own country. It's your country. It's like me looking how a man talks to his wife, treats his wife, and I'm like, I'm really offended how you treat your wife. That's his wife. It's his wife. She married him. She's got 2 legs. She can walk away. You've got a passport. You can get the heck out of Dodge if you want to. But you guys have tolerated this type of behavior in America. And I said it yesterday. Please go back to that podcast from yesterday. I said this. I said that Donald Trump's not the problem in America. The people of America are the ones who put Trump in power. And so, as a black person, I'm not any more afraid of Donald Trump than I am of that local white police officer in Minnesota. I'm not any more afraid of Donald Trump than I am of that white judge adjudicating issues in family court or criminal court. I'm not any more afraid of Donald Trump than I am of the hegemonic white privilege that has been established to keep black people from getting loans and appropriating proper housing, getting jobs. Not any more afraid of that than any of these other things that have been put in place. Donald Trump is just a symbol that represents the white privilege in America. And I know that white people hate to hear that. It's really, I don't understand it. My indigenous place is Trinidad and Tobago. And why we call it our indigenous place is because Trinidadians also, we are very aware that we are West African and most of us are Nigerian. Based on how we got there, in memory of how we got there, knowing that a great preponderance of West Africans were betrayed by other Africans, sold into slavery by their brothers, by individuals of like melanin complexion. When they arrived in the colonies at that time, and they decided by the wherewithal of their own mental might to take over those places. They did not say, let's embark back to Africa. They said that we're going to make this our home. Now this is our land. We have taken over. That is a reasonable thought. And so in the indigenousness of me thinking of myself as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, a republic, by the way, I say to myself, if I stood there, I'd want to be in charge of my own place too. That's my doggone country. In Trinidad and Tobago, we had a large immigration from Syrians and Germans. They had big money. They came into our little island and they started to appropriate land. Similar to what some folks have done in other Caribbean islands. They started to buy up the place. And the wisdom of the Trinidadian officials said, hey, foreigners can't own any more than a specific amount of land here. And we're not going to let you buy up the place. In fact, what we're also going to do in the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago is we will say that every Trinidadian has the right to own land. A very different scenario than they have here in Canada. Therefore, if I was begging, like the white gentleman who was begging for me the other day at my window, knocking on my window, hoping that I would have mercy on his privilege. But if I stood in the terra firma of the place where I have privilege, based on the Constitution that we wrote for ourselves, I have the right to walk up to any government land, square it off and say, this is my home, because I have the right. That's why I say yesterday, please go back and listen to that. Our Constitution is not trash like the Constitution of America. It was actually for the benefit of people. Any Trinidadian citizen can claim Crown land and say, this is now my home. He has a legitimate squatter's rights of any governmental land if he is homeless. Therefore, every Trinidadian can never say, I can't own land. Can't say that in America or Canada. This generation in Canada probably never own a house. Average house in places like Toronto is $1 million, average price. That's a lousy house. $1 million house in Toronto is a lousy house. It's a lousy house. You don't even want to live in there. So how the heck do you afford a lousy house with high interest rates, low wages? Well, we didn't create this place, so I can't make exceptions for you guys. That's something y'all got to figure out. I just know I'm not buying $1 million house in a cold country that I don't belong to, paying taxes for the rest of my doggone life, when I can go to Houston and do it for a third of the money. I can go to Dominican Republic and do it for a tenth of the money. I can go in Trinidad and Tobago and do it for 20% of the money. I ain't doing that. Doesn't make sense. I'm gonna use my privilege somewhere. But I digress. Have I told you that you should be afraid of the Donald Trump that is now sitting as the 47th president of the United States? Absolutely not. What are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? We're disgusted by it. But you shouldn't be surprised in America. How can you be surprised in America? How can black people in America ever say they're surprised at what takes place in the eyes of white hegemonic privilege? You can never say you're surprised. You should say, that's what I thought would happen. That's what you should say. I bet you Kamala's surprised, though. Kamala's surprised. Kamala's surprised because her and Malika Andrews married what they look at in the mirror. Malika Andrews, the host of one of the hosts of ESPN, she just got married. And she got married to a man that she sees in herself when she looks in the mirror. And Kamala looked in the mirror and started to envision herself. She did not see maybe that young black girl that we all see. And this is why some white people are saying, well, she never identified as black. Maybe she felt that I could pass as something else. I could get away with being someone else, some other Maybe they won't notice the pigmentation of my skin. Maybe she did say that for a period of her life. I don't know. Wasn't anything that was mentioned. It was stuff that y'all made up, but maybe she did. And maybe that's why she married who she married. Same as Malika Andrews. But in the guise of saying that the identity politics of America is something that has fallen back into right standing, and Kamala was never a card-carrying member of the black community, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's a ridiculous thought process to really have. But the deplorableness of Donald Trump is really what offended us. But you know what else offended people? The deplorableness of the Democratic doggone party. Yeah, that pissed some people off too. I'm going to look at your messages right now and then get into that. Let me see what y'all got to say. Ooh, y'all blowing up the feed, baby. I got to park and read all this. I'm going to come back to you guys. There's lots in here. There's lots in here, but I'm going to get to it. I promise you. I'm going to get to everybody's comment. I was speaking of the deplorableness of the Democratic Party. Woof. Not trying to sound like Donnie Swagger. But the deplorableness of the Democratic Party, which, again, is extremely comparable to the Republican Party. I saw Donald Trump the other day in his campaign brought up on stand the rapper Trick Trick. Trick Trick came out to give his endorsement of Donald. I don't know if you've ever listened to Trick Trick's music, but he's not singing hallelujah, praise the Lord. He's not a Christian rapper. And if he was a Christian rapper, I would advise he change his name from Trick Trick. But I'm not talking about the Republicans right now. I'm talking about the deplorableness of the Democratic Party. And you have to understand, as a Democrat in America, that the secularism of that party is a disease. Secularism of the Democratic Party is a disease. It is a disease that affects everything that touches it. And I'll start with the church. Again, I had this conversation in another video called Tribalism. Go take a look at that. But the church, in its attempt, and this is the conversation that Swagger was having, so I don't want to sound like him. But in its attempt to try to discard the attacks of old Donnie Swagger, the church has decided to swallow things that it's not supposed to swallow, and be inclusive of things it should never have been inclusive of. And that's because of the Democratic Party. The church does not have to be sympathetic to either abortion or the gay, lesbian, transgender movement. These are things that Kamala has to say as speaking points that she was very upfront about. I heard at one interview where she was saying that a trans woman, meaning a man, was in prison and was looking to, I guess, complete his transitioning surgery. Kamala said, I advocated for that trans woman, made sure she got all the services that she was supposed to get. Well, Kamala, I'm sure trans people all over the place appreciate that. But the preponderance of Americans who do not believe in that lifestyle do not. And these are the things when you are, and I'm sorry to use this term of a person who clearly was not this, but it's how she was treated, a fringe candidate. A fringe candidate, you go look that term up if you don't understand it. But when you are a candidate on the fringe, and every black person running for election anywhere in North America is on the fringe, trust me, you don't have the leeway to agree with radical thoughts in a conservative, mostly conservative environment. And guess what? Even those conservative people, they're radical. But they're radical in secret. Absolutely. Your president, number 47, is married to a prostitute slash sex worker slash pinup girl. We know Malaya or Melania, whatever her name is. We know that young lady is quite tainted. We know she's been passed around like dollar bills. We know that. We have no respect for her as the so-called First Lady of America. But I remember very clearly when that woman became the 45th First Lady, and white women all over America said, class has returned to the White House. That specific sentence. I was shocked to even hear that concept. People saying, oh, that's her past, and she shouldn't be evaluated out of her past. She's a wonderful mother, and don't try that. Don't try that. Please don't try that with us. Don't try that with us at all. You'll never get away with that. Ever will you get away with that. The deplorableness of the Democratic Party and what it stands on was the make and break of this election. Clearly, what America has more of, black and white, is conservatives. They have more. Donald Trump did his very best to agitate even the most conservative black people all over America. He did his very best to alienate himself and his party and his vice president-elect, to alienate themselves from every ethnicity other than white Caucasians. Did their very best. I mean, they should have just written it down. We're trying to alienate ourselves from everybody but white people. They should have just wrote that down, because that's effectively what they did. And they were successful. This is the hard part that people have to swallow. They did it, and they were successful. It's absolutely successful. They said that there is an island of garbage floating around. It's called Puerto Rico. Vance said, we're going to throw the trash out of the White House in a couple of days. Speaking of Kamala Harris, said these things out of their mouths. Trump said, oh, my beautiful white skin is going to be out there getting a tan. You know, it's hard for me to get a tan, but my beautiful white skin. And he just kept going with that. And these are not inadvertent statements. These are dog whistles, bringing all the boys to the yard, Proud Boys specifically. And so these things should never be taken for granted, that these weren't the intentionality, the intentions of the Republican Party. Why am I going north? I should not be going north. I should be going south. These were the intentions of the Republican Party, and it worked. And this is what causes people to shake their head. How could you be so blatantly racist? How could you be so blatantly xenophobic, callous to the feelings of women, black people, Latinos? How can you isolate yourself from absolutely everything unlike yourself and still win in America? And the answer is because there's more of them than there are of you. That's the answer. And they rather have themselves in positions of power than you. And it has nothing to do with necessarily destroying your way of life, Negroes and all of you others. It has to do with the fact that this is our country and we think we should run it. Period. You share the same sentiment of a gentleman across the seas by the name of Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu said to the Palestinians, you are guests. You are guests. And don't forget it. And you've acted like you run the place, but you are guests. And you see how Netanyahu treats his guests when he gets fed up. But we don't think you good folk in America are going to treat your guests like that. Y'all are nicer than them. Y'all ain't going to do anything like Benjamin Netanyahu. You will not drop a nuclear bomb on anybody. Well, you already did that. Yeah, you did that. You're not going to put anybody in internment camps. You already did that. You're not going to put people that are just trying to be economic refugees in cages and their children in cages. You're not going to do that. Kind of already did that. You're not going to inseminate an entire population with syphilis just to see if you can get rid of them. Shucks, you already did that. You already did that. Well, let's just hope for the best. Woo! But black people all over America, it's not fear that you should have. It is an ideology that it's time for us to do something about our own true independence. And for those who have listened to me before, you've heard this before, and for those who have not, this might shock you. But there needs to be an independent republic in America that is different than your republic. Black people need to secede from the Union. They do. Legally, peacefully, but do it. It needs to happen. You need to declare Texas, California, take Florida too. This is now a black nation. Print your own money. Have your own army. Have your own GDP. Have your own Federal Reserve. You need to separate from that evil nation, because that nation does not have you in mind at all. Doesn't have you in mind. And let me tell you why it really has to be black people. Because, gosh, did I miss my turn? Because you don't have anything. That LGBTQ transgender white person is still a white person in America. They're safe. The Latino can still go back to his country. Most of them can. You don't have a nation. You are living within the nation of a nation. You're worse than the Palestinian, because even the Palestinian had their own government. There is no government that speaks on behest of black people in America. You do not have a voice. You do not have a political system. You don't have a leader. You don't have an army. You don't have a resistance force. You don't have anything. In fact, some of the smartest of you, when it came time to this election, did stupid things. Dr. Cornel West, the brightest man in America, decided to run for president. Fantastic. Picked a party that didn't even have the capacity to have ballots in every state. Like, doggone it, Dr. West. I thought you were smarter than that. Herschel Walker wanted to be. I keep picking on Herschel Walker because it's very rare that one person is that stupid. But Herschel Walker wanted to be president. I give him, hey, Herschel, you tried it, bro. I still don't know what you say when you talk. I don't know if you're a football player or a boxer, the way that you speak. But Herschel Walker wanted to be president.
Prepare to turn right.
And he tried. Why don't you guys put that collective energy together, though, and figure out what they were trying to do in the 60s? How they were trying to put certain things together to make sure that you had voices. Why don't we have these things anymore? I mean, all you guys have now is the Roland Martin show. And Roland Martin is a staunch Democrat. He accepts anything the Democratic Party says. And I like Roland. But when Roland starts talking about the alphabet people, I have to stop listening to Roland. Because I'm not there with him. And there are so many different, like black politics is not one thing. That's the problem. the Democratic Party. Black politics is not everything that the Democratic Party wants. You're going to have conscientious, Christian, conservative black people that still do not want to be part of the Republican Party. And this is something that has to be identified. Like, this is something that has to be recognized, that you need a third option. People have heard me say this before. I say it all the time. But let's see. Let's see what you guys are saying. Balance, wellness to you. Tired of the division. Well, you get to leave America then. We have nothing to fear. Agreed. Hello from Rio de Janeiro. Shiloh family. Hey, how you doing, Carla? It's not the color of your skin. It's the color of your heart. My heart is red, brother, and it's definitely the color of my skin, because your color of my heart was the same when they enslaved hundreds of millions of us. Judge not lest you be judged. It's a wonderful scripture. That's called being prejudiced. This isn't a good thing to brag about. We are all prejudiced, my friend. Prejudice is an actual virtue of society, unfortunately. Kamala is Indian and white. Kamala is not Indian and white. Don't be stupid. Have some intelligence. Her father is on the internet. Google is your friend. Kamala is a black woman mixed with an Indian woman. And again, like I said, some people are just, they live in this box of ignorance that I don't understand. When I'm trying to have a conversation with people, it's like they will not just have a regular conversation. Prejudice and racism. Let's see. Everyone is prejudiced. Everyone doesn't have the capacity to be racist, though. Everyone is prejudiced. God is prejudiced. That's why he has a chosen people. That's prejudice. Right? So everyone is prejudiced. Prejudice is not a bad thing unless you use it for victimization. Hegemony is the aspect of prejudice that now causes you to deal with people in an unfair way. Prejudice is things like nepotism. That's prejudice, right? Nothing wrong with nepotism. If I want to hire my son, if I want to hire my cousin, if I want to make sure that my son has favoritism, if I have the power to do so, it's called nepotism. That's prejudice. Everybody's prejudiced. Everybody wants their kid to win when they're watching them compete in a sport activity. They don't say, well, I just want the best team to win. No, you want your kid to win. All right, so prejudice is not my issue. You can call me prejudiced if you want to. I am prejudiced. I want to win. I want my people to win. I want to be the head and not the tail. I don't want people standing on my back. I'd rather be standing on theirs. I don't understand, y'all. Because like I said, and I don't know if these are black folks talking, I don't believe in meritocracy. It's a lie in the West. It's a lie. It's something you've given everybody else. It's a standard that you've given everybody else to stand on, but you don't use it for yourselves. Donald Trump doesn't have the merit to be the president of a dog catchers club. He's not intelligent enough. He's not qualified at all. So this is not about merit. It's about prejudice. And I told you, you want Donald Trump to be your president because you are prejudiced and you want white folks in charge. It's your country. Go right ahead. We're not mad at you. We're not mad at you. We're just shocked. We're not mad. We're shocked. Because you told us that we live in a meritocracy, and you lied to us. You didn't lie to me because I know the truth, but you lied to many. And what America has to face every single day is that you are a racist nation that prefers your own race to be in charge, no matter how evil they are. And you don't like to hear that. You don't like to hear that. You can say it about other people. You'll call Putin a dictator. You'll say all this evil stuff about Benjamin Netanyahu, and you'll have marches, and you'll speak all these crazy things. You'll talk about African dictators like Idi Amin and Mobutu, and you'll say you'll write your historical books, all these things, but you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am the man. I am guilty as hell. You can't do that. Greatest narcissistic nation on the planet. That's y'all. You can't do that. You cannot look at the blood on your own hands and say it's Kool-Aid. You won't do it. But you got to. And I'm going to force you. I'm going to put the mirror in front of you and tell you, look at yourself. You're deplorable. A house of deplorables. And at the end of the day, somebody with more power than me is going to have to speak. Somebody more courage than the people that have been in your country is going to have to stand up and say, not going to allow it. Won't let it happen. At all. We've seen so many scenarios in America. Your union era, the era of unions. People just wanted fair wages. They said the unions are going to break the back of the manufacturers. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Got unions. You have so many things in America. Oh, blacks were looking for fair wages. The affirmative action. Affirmative action is going to break the back and break the pockets. Didn't do that, did it? So we've heard this before. We've seen it before. What I'm content to do from a distance is to watch America implode on itself, because it will not fix itself. It will not fix itself. I'm not saying even Kamala was a fix. I never did. I was saying that effectively Donald Trump has disqualified himself. Again, I thought it was ridiculous to think that Donald Trump would be president again, because I never thought that white America would deal with that. Forget about the rest of us. It's easy. That's a gimmick. That's a gimme. Of course we don't like him. Of course we'll never put him back there. But we had no idea that you would. We had no idea that he really did speak for you. And America, time and time again, keeps showing us who they are. And we aren't listening. And I said that you woke up feeling, all balance is restored in the force today. And that's okay. It's your country. You're allowed to do what you're allowed to do. But please, don't get upset when we talk about you. Don't get upset when we tell you about yourself. Don't get upset when you get the mail delivered to your house and it's addressed to the deplorables. Absolutely. Same bony little finger that is pointing across the seas to the Middle East, or so-called Northern Africa, Northeastern Africa, which is Israel. It's pointing at Benjamin Netanyahu and saying, oh, the atrocities, the atrocities, the atrocities, the atrocities of that white Jew over there who's impersonating black people. Yes, he is. It's the same bony finger you've got to point at yourselves. Same little bony finger that you got to point at yourselves. Because you have an impersonator sitting on a country that doesn't belong to him, declaring that he is Netanyahu, son of my right hand, Benjamin, declaring that he is of the book, quoting the book, but he doesn't come from that. He's a convert. And saying that his indigenous people belong in that land. His lie is your lie. And that's why you are allies with a liar. Because you are liars. And you are lying about everything that you've put in your Charter of Rights. You're lying about everything you put in your Constitution. Every pledge, every adage of fairness that you speak to in America is a lie. It's always been a lie. It can never have been the truth. Because it doesn't apply to everybody, it applies to you. You say that you believe all men to be equal. That's a lie. You do not believe that. America doesn't believe that. There's no concept of that America believes in. You know it's not true. Absolutely not true. And the only time that you allow that lie to benefit other people is when it also benefits you. You sent Jesse Owens to Berlin wearing an American uniform to demonstrate the greatness of America. And when he came back to the States, you called him nigger. That's America. That's America. So, please, Miss us with your hurt feelings when you're being told what you are. Donald Trump is a shining example to the world of what you are. That is your representative. That is the icon of what America represents. He is your ambassador. He is your face. He is the manifestation of everything bad with America. And some of you are okay with that. And I'm saying all of you better be okay with it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying to black folks all over America, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid. But please don't think it's going to get better for you. Don't think Donald is out there to do you a solid 50 cent. Don't think because you're in a higher tax bracket that a Donald Trump presidency is going to help you save a couple of shekels. Don't fall under that disillusionment either. That is a very bad place to be. I'm sorry. It's a very bad place to be. I hope you've disinvested yourself of having all of your wealth in America. I hope if you're smart that you put yourself in a position to know that every single world dynasty and empire has fallen and that you are hedging your bet against the United States of America. Because if you're not, you're just a bad investor. You're a bad investor. You're rolling the dice and calling sevens over and over again. But black people in America, you need your passports. You need entrepreneurship. You need to realize that you're not out there to get a job in America, because to get a job in America means that you are going to die in America. Your job is to make sure that you get an idea that you never have to work for anybody else in your life. Your job is to make sure that you build infrastructure that it's self-containing. Your job is to make sure that you have an ecosystem that causes the black dollar to go round and round and round and round and round, right? That's your job. Is to make sure that you never have to depend on America staying America in order to be alive. That is the wisdom of the Jew. The Jew was one step ahead of every single nation that was plummeting and falling. When Napoleon walked in there, they lent money to Napoleon. They knew how many troops Napoleon had. They knew how many troops the other people had, and they hedged against the other currency, and they made sure that when Napoleon walked in there and came out, that they were billionaires. They knew that. They said, we don't have enough guns, we don't have enough weapons. We have enough gold, we have enough money, we have enough ingenuity to take advantage of the despoticness of other people. And now they have their own nation, 1948. Somebody gave them their own nation to go victimize other people. Welcome to the team. And don't think Africa is your choice either. The place that you have to say, we're going to stake our land out, is right there in that same place that they have enslaved you. You've got to make sure you say, hey, this has got to be ours now. We don't want reparations. We want the state of Texas, California, Florida, and you guys can keep the rest. That's what you need to do. This is Del K. Brereton. This is The Real Spiel. And if any of this has offended you, it was supposed to. I hope it offends you for action. I hope it offends you for remorse. I hope it offends you to cause you to think a little harder and a little deeper. I hope it makes you have conversation. I hope it causes you to speak to your children differently. I hope it causes you to look at yourself differently. Because that's the goal. I'm going to read your comments just for my own benefit. And then I'm going to go about my way, go about my day. I want to make sure that I've spoken to everybody here. You know, on this drive with all this sun, I'm not able to read everything the way I want to read it. So if you give me a little bit of time, I'll make a turn right here. I'm going to read these comments. I'm going to let everybody go on their way on my drive home. And see if I have any lasting comments that I would like to address before I let you go and begin your day at 8:59. Here we go. Here we go. shade here. I love the comments. I gotta see the comments. All right. Let me see the comments here. Went through most of them. Big W for America. Very empathetic point of view. If I see anyone you beg, I have compassion no matter what. That's nice. I don't have the virtues you have. I've never once in my life looked at the color of someone's skin. You're a liar. I don't have to read anymore. You're a liar. You're a liar. But it's okay. We love you. I lie sometimes too, but you just lied right there. I feel we are all connected. I agree. We are all brothers and sisters. At the time in our history has ended between color. At the time in our history, I don't know what you mean by there, 100%. Bless the channel ownership as he wrestles in the spirit. Thank you. It's a new day. He's outing himself as a racist. I'm not a racist. I'm prejudiced. I don't have the power to be a racist. I don't have the power to oppress other people. I don't have the power to create institutions that predominantly jail and imprison other people. I don't have the power to create laws that cause vagrancy to be a crime, to put people back in prisons. I don't have the power to make deplorable individuals presidents. I don't have that kind of power. I have the power to speak. So I can be prejudiced because that's called an opinion. That's allowed. I think you have that written somewhere down in one of your fake constitutions. How long have you been a racist? Are you seeking help? I'm only seeking the help of individuals who are seeking to help me. But hope you're not defending Kamala. She ain't black. Poor you. Don't identify what black people look like. The land belongs to God. That's wonderful. That feeling when you've been unburdened by what has been. Exactly. I know, MAGA. I know that's how you feel. You know what? Hey, God bless you. Who's that? ASI man. Yeah, that unburdened feeling like, we don't have to deal with these Negroes anymore. I know that's how you feel. That's why I came on here to tell you. She married white. That's why a lot of brothers didn't deal with her, Bernice. But 78% of black men still voted for her. Black life doesn't matter anymore. Choose Trump, and it will be more no matter. I don't know what that means. Bro, you're lost. Your info is tainted. Information is always tainted by opinions, my friend. Dude has been the president before. Black people are still here and will be here after he departs again. Absolutely, I agree with that. Stay under the radar and prosper. Yeah, I'm gonna prosper in the sun, screaming from the rooftop. One of her parents is Jamaican, which is black. One of her parents is Indian. Educate yourself. Thank you very much, Sal Napoli. Thank you very much. Cardi B could not read and write. And I don't know what that means. This isn't man or woman, white or black. This is for the people of America against Americans. Church failed, absolutely. So Jamaicans are not black, exactly. Jamaicans are black. I voted for Trump. I'm sorry for you, Paterna fan. Her daddy ain't Jamaican. Ask Judge Joe. Joe Brown is senile, and we really need to watch what we listen to from Judge Joe. He has a lot of information, but wow. Her dad is Irish and her mom is Hindi. Hindi is a language, and her dad is not Irish. So Arkham, when a lot of blacks were enslaved and went to the Caribbean, they were owned by British and sometimes Irish people. A lot of times also, as you know, these plantations cause people to sleep with their enslaved persons. And so many Caribbean people have Irish in their background. They have English in their background. Some have Spanish in their background. He's a black man. Maybe one of his ancestors was raped by an Irish person. Probably very, very, very certain. But he's very, very black. And then, of course, he doesn't have his African name because he's a slave, right? And so he's definitely has been probably messed around with the Irish. The Irish were the lowest level of whites at the time, and they definitely wanted to disseminate themselves between themselves and black people. Elon Musk was born in South Africa. Is he black? No, he is not. Neither is Steve Nash, by the way. She said, it is possible, change the law. Yeah. She did change the law, Bernice Higgins. You heard that too, in respect to the transgender man that was trying to change himself. She said she changed the law. Thank you for the person you stated her dad's true ethnicity. You're welcome, but that came straight from Candace Owens. She knew something wasn't right and was digging. Candace Owens doesn't work for us. Okay, she works for y'all. Harris hasn't been passed around. Meaning, so you're trying to compare Harris to Donald Trump's prostitute wife. You're going to compare senator, a district of attorney, a vice president, a lawyer, to that prostitute that Donald Trump is married to that you're calling first lady. That's what you're trying to do right now, right? Don't try it. Don't try that. How long have you now you're a misogynistic? Yeah, okay. To hate women is very difficult when I love them so much. I think Black America should fear you because you waste everyone's time. But I'm glad you're here, Sasha. And I'm glad that you are allowing me to waste your time today. Same with you, Arkham. Been a while, Dell. I'm not a voter, but I'm glad that man won, only because maybe he could stop those horrible wars and end in Ukraine and Israel, and maybe no rioting because of him winning. Let's see what he does with Ukraine. He can't do anything with Israel because Netanyahu is his own man. But let's see what he does with the Ukrainians. The woman had a couple of months to get her act together. She did well. I agree. She did a pretty good race, Maddie. Couple of months. Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. That was Obama, bro. I'm not sure what you mean by that, which comment I made. Don't be surprised what those people can before they're done. Don't forget the First Step Act. There's no need for you to start a race for right now. Jason Hall, I'm not sure what you mean by that. My daughter was so distraught. She's 26 and can't understand white people's rage. Hey, Maddie, I hear you loud and clear. Casey, delusions are strong with this one. That's very good. I wish you would try in Texas. We coming to Texas to take over. Take Texas. I want Texas. I want Texas. We can reclaim Texas and call it New Africa. That's what I think we should do, from the top to the bottom. That attitude is why you'll always be a victim. I'm not a victim. I come from a republic, Trinidad and Tobago. We run our country. It's all Black people that run our country. We are a republic. We're not victims. We're conquerors. I'm trying to help I'm trying to help some of my folk be conquerors too. You're so unsafe driving around spewing nonsense. Okay, you can. I'll give you my license plate, and then you can tell the police I'm driving around with the hands-free, talking in my phone. Fill my cup with your salty tears, professional victim. Oh wow, so when you have these, this is how rhetoric goes out. So they pick catchphrases like victim mentality and these things. And so this is how the Republican Party has pushed out that Kamala wasn't always Black, because they push out a rhetoric and they say it enough times. They say it enough times until in the minds of weak people, it becomes true. All right. So in the context of the folks who are listening that are hearing things that they cannot refute, they say, I have a victim's mentality. How am I a victim? I'm not in America. I'm not a victim. I didn't vote for anyone because I can't. I didn't lose anything because I'm not part of the process. I'm identifying how Black people in America, of which I was never a Black person in America under any type of slaves regime. I only went there for education. So I have no capacity to be a victim. I am a victimless individual speaking to individuals who you have made a victim. And I'm speaking to them. So to call me a victim is, again, how narratives are pushed out that are untrue, right? But you keep pushing them out because ignorance has a very myopic place of which you can push things out. And they try to say it again and again, and they rant, and they create a falsehood, a false narrative that cannot be true. But if enough of you say it, what happens? Donald Trump becomes president. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Most real Black men want segregation. Brandon, you're weak, bro, and sad. You're dragging your people down. Well, let me talk to my people. How about that? You go talk to yours. You're clearly talking on YouTube. He's right, but yeah, emotions, juice. I don't know. Don't listen to this fool. You don't have to listen to me. This is free. Michelle doesn't even believe the stuff she says. General wealth transfer doesn't save us. Imagine basing your entire identity in life on being black. Okay. As a MAGA supporter, I hope Trump's able to turn the economy around to the benefit of everyone. What's wrong with the economy right now? What's wrong with the American economy that needs to be turned around? Tell us. Explain to us. Interest rates have been at an all-time high, low rather. Interest rates are at an all-time low. Tell me what's wrong with your country economically that needs to be turned around. Donald Trump, when he ran for his first presidency, he said he's going to bring back coal. Coal he's going to bring back. What's wrong with the economy of America? Let me know. You're mad because Kamala didn't come out. Yeah, most of us are. Just came across this. No way. Nobody needs to be afraid except us who voted for Trump and his cabinet, aka the Justice League. Love from down the bricks in PJs and Providence. Hey, how you guys doing out there? Law Dog. Let me guess, you want some reparations. I hope you spelled that wrong on purpose. I really hope you spelled that wrong on purpose. I'm a Democrat, terrified of the fascists. I'm for Trump. Nice to meet you. Shelley's homemade. You've never been a slave. Oh, is that the narrative now? Well, you've never been a slave, so you can't talk about it. And your descendants were never slave owners too, right? You've never been the beneficiary of being in a position where your ancestors were slave owners, right? Of course not. Will God see your color when he judges you? That's a wonderful sentiment. That's not her dad. That was a worker at her Irish plantation. Wow. Democrats should have picked RFK as the candidate. You need to leave my country. Brandon Graves. I'm not in it. She's black, man, mixed with an Indian woman. Yes. It's not about the color. It's about the money. Let me see. Bro, you're ignorant. I've got 3 degrees working on a PhD. Twice published. I'm probably the smartest man you've ever met in your life. In fact, I'll put money on it. Let's all listen to this guy. God is prejudiced. He is. He has a chosen people. God says he has a chosen people. Read the Old Testament, and you tell me if that God is not prejudiced. Of course he's prejudiced. He's prejudiced on behalf of his own. He's prejudiced on behalf of his children, just like you. Do you even know your son? Okay, I don't know what that means. You don't deserve constitutional rights. We don't need constitutional rights from Americans because they're not for us. Unless you use it for victimization, proceeds to spew victim mentality rhetoric. There it goes again. There it goes again. This is how you see. This is how white folks get going. They get a little term, and they all run with it, right? I know it's the ignorant ones though. I know it's not the ones who have actual intelligence because you'd actually be using better terminology. I was for neither one, but I'll work with Trump, which is good, Michelle Clark. Positive thinking is what I'm on. How I see it, same position, different people. That's a very good bipartisan mindset, but you got no choice. You got to do it. Latinos in Los Angeles voted for Donald Trump. That's a shame. Do you have God's chosen people? Or the Aryan race? Everything we touch turns to gold. Brandon Graves. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. I'd rather be standing on theirs. Don't know sure what that means. I don't care what her nationality is. Her policy didn't represent anything that would benefit me. And that's a very good comment. Shelley's homemade. And I agree with a lot of her policy. Didn't like it either. Let me guess, you could do it better. I could definitely do it better than Donald Trump. Kamala is white and Hindi. We talked about that. Black here. I voted Trump. Thank God you're only a small percentage of black people that did that. We have won now. We have now been unburdened by what has been. Taco said it again. Bye-bye Bidenomics. That's actually funny. Cameline Black. But if you continue to read Paul, the apostle, it says everything about everyone's the same. So vote for the lady who's pushing homosexuality and trans. That was the hard part there, right? That was the hard part. And I said it. It's hard to be myself, who is a Christian, a conservative person, and back a person who has these ridiculous ideas when it comes to the family. And yeah, that's why I said America needs a third option, right? So I agree with you 100% there. It's hard to back that. It's impossible. Not hard. It's impossible. Put a good candidate up and maybe the Democrats will win. I agree with that. They just found the right color of white to fool you. Okay. Yeah, this man needs to speak for himself. So no, God does not have racial prejudice. Some people do. Um, I think you need to read the Bible again. Kamala ain't black. How can an ex-president not be qualified for being president? He disqualified himself by a seditious act, by trying to dismantle the tradition of America of the peaceful transfer of power. He disqualified himself by being doubly impeached, and he disqualified himself by being a criminal convict. And so these disqualify you from holding office. They disqualify you from applying to McDonald's, as I said yesterday. So that is why he's not qualified. Okay, so he has been disqualified by his own merits. And this is why I said this is about meritocracy that doesn't work. Kamala was intelligent. Kamala's very intelligent. I did not vote for Kamala. She should have presented her DNA results. Kamala ain't black. You're absolutely right. America is deranged. I smell fish. Go change your tampon. Okay, that's crazy. The man is certainly certifiably insane. I might be. It should be. It's best for the country, not the party. I agree with that, Michelle Clark. Bunch of narcopath. You should move to Canada. I live in Canada. There's no rich, unintelligent people. Okay. Someone with more power than you did speak. She lost. It's not for us, it's them. She wasn't a good candidate, man. Well, clearly, because America didn't take her, right? So you're talking about the brave black men and women who voted for Trump. I don't think there's anything brave about black people that voted for Trump. I'm sorry. It's like the house Negro being brave. He's not brave. He's doing what Master told him to do. Those are all democratic policies. Black people will say anything. You like your ways of your countries. Leave it simple. You're feeling, I fear no one but God. Get out of here. If you hate it that much, leave, homie. There's millions of color, creeds, and backgrounds that will help. Arkham believed that was somehow in America. Victim mentality. You're the racist. Why are you in America? I'm not. Stop saying we. Who's we? Pray for wisdom. Why are you here? See, why are you here? Why are you here? You are the colonizer. Let me see. Let me just keep going here. Wow. Okay, it's a lot. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate everybody who came and joined me in this conversation. Those who don't disagree with me, I love y'all. I love having the discourse. You guys take it easy, and we're going to see how it goes. 100 days, he said, I'm going to be a dictator for the first 100 days. Let me see if you like your dictator. Okay? You take it easy. This is Del K. Britton. This is The Real Spiel. And to all the Cyclopses that are in the building, the members are called the Cyclopses. God bless you, and we'll be in touch soon.